Hey everybody, this is TujoPanda back in action. We're talking about something else today. And by something else, this is kind of serious, folks. At least for me. You ready? You on the edge of your seats yet? Alright. I have something kind of serious to talk about. It is a time of desolation and uncertainty. For a travesty most foul hath occurred, and ruin has befallen this family. Within that black obsidian tower built by the proud gnomes of Middle-earth, there lived and resided what protogens and synths continue to function, toiling away to ensure that the systematic functions that dictated the peace and prosperity of this great nation would continue until one day there came the waygates that opened one after the other, as a torrent of cacodemons spewed forth, throwing what ash and fire and brimstone they could, in wreaking havoc and destruction. It was a black day, upon that day, that the arcane system would no longer function, and with it came a dark age that could last well over 1,000 years. Even now, there is no hope, no certainty for a better tomorrow. And my PC died. Yeah. Please excuse the melodramatics. I just wanted to convey to you all the intense frustration and aggravation that I've been dealing with for the past 6 days now. Basically, I subjected myself to the trials and tribulations of trying to figure out the problem. Okay, let me start from the very beginning. Okay, so, in so many words, my computer completely crashed. I don't know what the issue was. I have some ideas about what the issue was, but, like, as far as, like, knowing the actual issue, it's pretty hard to determine, you know, even with some decent experience in the subject. I'm going to tell you right now, my interactions with computers is using them. I have never really had to troubleshoot problems like this to this intensity, and this is only the course of, like, 6 days, and I know what you're saying. This is a real, like, first world problem. It's not like I caught the coronavirus, or I got hit by a car, or a relative died, or something like that. But man, that was real pain right there, you know? Not having a working PC for, like, the duration of just 6 days. That was only 6 days. I mean, it could have been, like, 2 months. Knock on wood. Don't know if you heard that, but... yeah. Alright, so, Friday. I got back home from work Friday, and, you know, I was about ready to just call it a day. You know, crack a cold one, maybe play some games on Twitch or hang out with the boys in VR chat. But, no, that didn't happen, because as soon as I turned on my PC, I got a big fat error message, blue screen of death. Basically, that's a lot of what I would see. It was starting to give me war flashbacks or something like that. I mean, like, every time I boot up my computer, I get a blue screen of death error message, and at first I thought it might have been my BIOS or the motherboard, like some configuration error, like it's causing some sort of boot issue. A recurrent theme that a screen that I would get is, like, right prior to the BIOS, like the very beginning as, like, you know, the software is kicking on. The recurrent, like, error page that I would get is GPT header corruption, which GPT stands for General Partition Table, and it basically determines, like, there's some sort of line of code that basically determines, like, how the partition where the operating system is located, how that boots up. I'm not an expert in any stretch of the imagination. I'm only going off of the research thanks to YouTube and Google, as to try to determine this mess. But yeah, Windows 10 in their infinite wisdom creates partitions on your hard drive, and each partition is designated for a singular purpose. I think there's like 4 partitions in total. One's recovery, one's for booting up the system, one's proprietary already on the hard drive, but I think Windows does something to it. And then the rest is whatever general space that Windows has access to that you can install programs on or save files to. But yeah, so yeah, like not having a PC for 6 days, that's part of the reason why you didn't see any YouTube videos, because I didn't have the capacity to be able to make them, and I do technically have a laptop that's like considered a backup. That thing is a years out of date piece of shit that I was basically using as a mobile VR kit, and something happened with the SATA like connector that keeps the hard drive connected. That, like, basically the drive, if you try to access any of the programs on there or write files to it or do anything with it, the drive's just going to, like, you know, combust into flames, pretty much. No, not really. What it's going to do is it's just going to disconnect and disappear from the, like, hard drive until you restart so many times to make it appear again. Kind of like what was happening in my main machine. I'm seeing a trend here. Windows 10, you've truly outdone yourself. You know, fuck Cyberpunk 2077. You know, like, Windows 10 is the best game of the year, you know? I wish, like, Todd Howard had developed it. It just works. It just fucking works. It's working right now, by the way. This is partly a stress test. This is partly an update as to what I've been going through. And as far as the stress test goes, prior to getting everything sort of running up to this point, what I noticed was, like, if I did anything strenuous, like play a game or something like that, the entire system would just crash. So, step 1 passed, VR chat ran last night, no major problems there, didn't even notice a hiccup or slowdown or, like, you know, freezes or anything like that. I seriously don't think it's a hardware issue. I seriously think it's all a software issue, and I damn well wasn't going to be taking this to a repair shop or calling ASUS's, like, or even Windows, like, customer support, because I know that they'd probably just walk me through the usual fixes, and if they couldn't fix it over the phone, they'd just be like, hey, why don't you just send that sucker in, we'll fix it for you, for a fee. I'm like, fuck that. You guys are the ones that put me in this mess anyway. I have half of mine to start a fucking singular use, like, singular issue political party. Fuck Windows 10 party. Supposedly that's already a party in existence, although I don't see any evidence of that. But yeah. Jokes aside, I figured out it's GPT, like, partition corruption has been, like, a recurrent error code. 0x, 6 zeros, and then D has been, like, an error code. I'm going to go ahead and, like, play some of these error, like, messages for you, like the screens. I took pictures from my phone just so I can get a sense of, like, keep track of what errors would pop up and do adequate research after the fact. But yeah, I cannot convey to you the hours of frustration. That's all I did for the last 6 days, pretty much. Besides, you know, when Monday started going to work and coming back home. But, like, you know, you only have, like, a handful of hours to devote to any given cause. And this just became a time sink. And I don't even know if the problem's fixed is the worst thing about it. So that's another caveat I'm going to add to this video. The videos may stop coming for a little bit because I had a lot of content I was going to release, but fuck it. I lost a lot of shit. Most of what I lost that is relevant to the videos that I would be, like, you know, hypothetically releasing, a lot of that was just music, like royalty-free music and stuff that I had downloaded prior, and, like, sound effects and stuff like that. That's a pain, but I think a bigger pain is just not having a stable system to work on. But yeah, this has been a serious issue, like, over the course of my life. Like, back in the day, computer issues would usually manifest themselves gradually, and I would try to find a fix around, and I could not find a fix around, so I would just deal with it until the system became inoperable, in which case, you know, you'd have to get a new one. Thankfully, that was usually over the course of years, but in this particular case, this is about 2.5 to 3 years old, so these kind of issues shouldn't be here. So, like, I have an Asus motherboard, that's the Maximus Code X, and, you know, a 1080 Strix, like, you know, graphics card. That's been pretty adequate to, like, sustain me through most of my endeavors. And I couldn't imagine, like, you know, relying upon a Ryzen CPU or anything like that. think it's an i7 in there. I think 8th generation or 7th generation. I don't really remember. But yeah, like a lot of these parts, like I accumulated over the course of a year, just setting money aside every time I got a paycheck and making sure that I bought the best parts that were available at the time. Obviously, I started like cheap and I worked myself up to expensive. So, and the RAM in there is pretty good. Like I ran a BIOS check. I think there was a function. The motherboard itself is actually pretty innovative insofar as it actually has like a little like LED light indicator. It will tell you an error code if there's any problems with the motherboard. And it will also show you an LED light that will just consistently glow if there's any problems with any of the hardware parts that are installed on it. None of those things lit up, so I'm going to like lay the blame pretty squarely on either the faulty like BIOS settings, or I'm going to lay the blame on Windows like front door, because this definitely shouldn't have happened. Alright, so I basically just threw a bunch of garbly gunk goo at you, like, you know, trying to convey what I've been dealing with. So like, there was some sort of corruption in the partition that like determines where Windows 10 will like boot up from on the drive. And for whatever reason, the computer was just not recognizing that this drive was where the operating system was. And like leading up to this point, I'd have to actually hold F8 and hope that the hard drive in question would appear. And you know, you might tell me, hey, that just tells me that the hard drive is probably failing. You should probably replace that. I don't think it's the hard drive. I legit don't think it's the hard drive. Maybe the hard drive's partition, like the drive's partition that's already there, like pre-installed, like the firmware and stuff. Maybe that got corrupted somehow, like, you know, thanks to Windows 10, like fucking faulty ass programming. But no, like I don't think it's a faulty like hard drive. I legit don't. I think it's just Windows 10, and you know, seriously, just I don't know what it could be. Like honestly, some of the other error codes, SRT trails. I don't know what that was. There was some other weird like, you know, error messages dealing with System 32 that I cannot, for the life of me, recall off the top of my head. That's why I took pictures of everything. Like I just wanted reference. I just wanted to be able to correlate that with some sort of like, you know, incident somebody else had experienced and try to fix it like with another solution they had. And I also utilized command prompt. Obviously that's a quick way to fuck up your system if you don't know what you're doing, but you know, thankfully things seem fine right now. I've never up to this point used command prompt like, you know, without like with it telling me access denied to something. Like I tried to literally tell command prompt, hey, fix the boot, like, you know, partition, and it just wouldn't do it. It was like access denied. I'm like, excuse me? I'm the fucking administrator here, okay? I say you do, and just wouldn't do it. I couldn't find a workaround. I ended up having to like basically wipe the drive in a last-ditch effort, and I really didn't want to do that because that's a lot of Unity projects. That's a lot of like resources and documents that I just basically sacrificed to the wind. And I might be able to recover some of those through like some sort of esoteric software like recovery tool or whatever. But as it stands, no, that stuff's gone. I had to use the recovery tool that they give you from Windows. I downloaded it onto a flash drive, like from another PC. And I put that in there. I could boot to that. Auto start repair did not fix a damn thing. And the recovery tool, like, you know, it restored it to its prior sense, but I also had the same problems I was dealing with back then where, you know, the system would just enter a blue screen of death anytime I tried to run an application or, like, program. So, yeah, that's been fun, troubleshooting and diagnosing the problem, trying to come up with a quick solution. It's only been 6 days, and it feels like an eternity. I'm nothing without my PC, I feel like. I can't study, I can't, like, you know, download shit, I can't make shit, I can't video edit, I can't play VR chat, I can't play video games, I can't live stream, I can't do a damn thing. And I definitely don't exactly have a mountain of cash just sitting idle that I can throw money at my problems. I'm sure most of you can empathize. And again, like, I understand, these are first world problems, okay? It could have been a hell of a lot worse. The computer could have exploded, like in an explosion that could be seen from space, and you know, I could have like been seriously injured by shrapnel flying around the room or something like that. Things can be a lot worse, but at the same time, I abide by the premise that things can be a lot better. All right. So, historically, I had initially been a aficionado of laptops, like gaming laptops. It all started with a non-gaming laptop that was powerful enough at the time to play laptops back when I was a kid going to high school. And it manifested itself until the best, absolute best gaming laptop I ever owned. It had dual 860s in there. It's called an Aorus X7 V2. And it was this very thin, very compact, like black laptop, widescreen, 17 inches. And it was an amazing beast. I don't think it could have run VR, but that's where I got my start on VR chat, playing desktop mode all the time. The thing was absolutely great, and I nostalgically remember getting my start as a YouTuber on that machine. And yeah, if you're wondering what happened to it, it ended up not working one day. In fact, I spent $50 on a repair for it. It had some sort of power issue. Basically, the machine just would not power. Like, power was not going to the machine. The battery wasn't working anymore. And even though I replaced the battery, for some reason, something to do with the power system wasn't working. So, yeah, that was fun. I can't tell you how great that was, having to face the facts that I need to upgrade. A downgrade was the Asus ROG G752. What a fucking piece of shit lemon. I gotta tell you, what a lemon. That's that backed up laptop I told you about. And it was technically on sale at the time, but I quickly found out why. It was just an absolute piece of crap. The audio was shit. The keyboard was shit. The peripherals that determined how it worked was shit. And it was so underpowered that if you plug too many things into the USB drives, like whatever the serial bus port that determined how the USBs functioned, it just was not good. Just absolutely was not good. It was the worst thing I ever dealt with. And I've dealt with a lot of shitty equipment over my years, usually from a work-related setting. But no, this was the first time that I bought something that just wasn't good. And so, yeah, Asus has started kind of a mixed history with me. I think I should have won it with MSI at the time. Just confessions years later. But yeah. So, what am I going to be doing now? I'm probably going to abide by a 2-computer policy. One computer will probably be for video editing, 3D modeling, and anything that's creatively motivated, and my main nexus from which video editing and shit like that comes from. The other is going to be a straight up gaming machine, cheaper, but also dedicated to one singular function, whether it's VR chat or all the games I would live stream online and things like that. That's just what I'm thinking, because there was this computer that I saw where basically they allowed you to do a payment plan. And $100 a month is a hell of a lot more affordable than paying it all up front, $1,800 up front. Like I said before, I'm not made of money, all right? I make a decent salary, I guess, for what I do, but it's not something that I would just throw money willy-nilly around. But yeah, so that's just a taste of what's been going on. As far as how I fixed this thing, basically, I forgot, I'm just gonna go back and try to finish this up. Because, and pardon me, sorry for, the rambly nature of this entire video. It's just, I am completely out of practice, and just, this is rough, raw roughshod, just right off the top of my head. The memories are coming back to me, one at a time. What I can tell you is, Windows, I played with the BIOS, and I played with a bunch of other settings. I played in the BIOS settings. I tried to tell it, hey, this is the boot order, and this is how to do it. There's a setting in there, basically it was yelling at me that RAID should have been the preferable, setting, and I know that wasn't quite right. It's supposed to be EHCI, or something like that, or AEHI, something like that. That's basically determining how storage is allocated on your drives, I think. And it was set to Intel, upgraded chipset or whatever. The chipset is, I believe, corrupted, so I should have went with AEHI. I I did, and it worked. That's how I'm right here right now. But at the time, I didn't know. So, like, a lot of trial and error. I actually did the jumper cables, like the jumper pins, I should say, on the BIOS to reset them back to factory settings. I updated the BIOS because I had the files on a thumb drive. And from there, I reinstalled Windows, even though up to that point, every time I would try to reinstall Windows, it would basically, like, act like it was installing, and then upon reboot, it would completely fuck up, you know? It just would not do anything. It would go right back to the problems it was facing before. It would not complete the installation. I managed to complete the installation later, but up to that point, just wouldn't do a damn thing. Anyway, so all that to say, like, after a million tries of various fixes, I finally found some sort of solution that is temporary. I say it's temporary because it's probably not going to last much longer. It's probably going to go right back to the problems it was having upon shutdown. I actually put the computer to sleep last night instead of shutting it down, just out of paranoia. So if I go radio silent, there's a reason for that. I will try to resume operations when I get a decent, like functional and dependable system. But up to that point, nah, I've been having computer issues. And there's a whole other billion of things going on right now, but yeah. So be sure to look into the Fuck Windows 10 party. Windows owes us, if we're going to be consumers of Windows, we should get better products. I think Windows 10 is a garbage heap. A lot of my friends do not like Windows and have had the same fuckery going on. And I don't know, like, I'm definitely not going to rely on Linux. I'm definitely not going to rely on Apple. So what is the alternative here? There's no open source operating system I'm aware of that's, like, you know, reliable enough to run it. Although I did hear a recommendation for Temple OS. I mean, a religious operating system made by a crazy person? Yeah, sounds legit. Sign me up, even though it could probably only play DOS games, if that. Anyway, this video has gone on for quite a while, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this here. I hope you all are doing a hell of a lot better than I am, because leading up to this point, 2020 is looking like it's going to be hitting, you know, the fan like a sack of crap. I don't know. This year, I'm not feeling it this year. I'm not feeling optimistic, like everything's just going to work out all right. I feel like this is just an indication of things to come. But, you know, hard times make strong men. And hopefully we can, you know, use that strength to make better times after this. So, I don't know. I hope you all are doing a hell of a lot better than I am. Anyway, till next time, guys, take care and peace. I hope you all have a better one. Wish me luck. Hopefully, I'll be able to come back online. Everything will go back to the way it was, as it was meant to be. Goodbye.